What's up, guys? Today is Patriot Day, a day of reflection, remembrance, and unification of the nation. Some of you weren't even born when 9/11 happened, which is super scary to me because it means I'm very, very old now. Over the past week, we've been hitting on some reflections of the Army values: loyalty, duty, respect, selfless service, honor, integrity, and personal courage. Go ahead and take the opportunity to check those out later on. Because today is a day of reflection, we've asked leaders from all across our organization about their take and their perspective on what it means to embody the Army values, what it means to be a leader in this organization, what leadership means to them, and what being a patriot is all about. I hope that you guys can take something away from the perspective of each one of these unique leaders inside of our organization. The United States Army is made up of millions of people from all kinds of different backgrounds. So what today means to each one of us is going to be a little bit different. So take some time today and reflect on your own what today means to you. Let's go check out some of those interviews.
My name is Lieutenant Colonel Alvin Word. I'm a career service member with 18 years active duty in the Army. My professional background is a career intelligence officer, spending the majority of my time in support of infantry divisions and most recently special operations for the last decade. My reason for joining the Army, kind of a combination of my sense of pride from my family background. My dad, my grandfather, my great-grandfather all serving in the Army and in various periods of conflict. And then also a sense of duty to serve a cause greater than myself and to serve others at the expense of myself. When I think of Patriot Day and patriotism in general, I think of a couple of the Army values more specifically than others. And the first one is integrity. And that is doing the right thing even when no one else is watching and even when it's inconvenient. And then loyalty. And that is how I treat and serve others. And when combined, these two serve as the foundation for character. And this is a point from which all other Army values may come. So as we pause to remember our fallen on 9/11 and we celebrate patriotism across this great country, those are the two that resonate with me the most and what I look for in my fellow service members. So leadership for me, it means serving others. Leadership is not about being served. It means being able to see how the pieces fit together and seeing the potential in those with whom you work, whether they be subordinates, whether they be peers, or whether they be superiors. But how you empower them, enable them to accomplish the task that they've been given is what leadership is about. Leadership is not always about being the boss. Leadership is about serving others, always has been, always will be. And if you are a leader, you are a servant first and foremost.
For you guys who don't know me, I don't necessarily like to talk about myself. So when Sergeant Muller approached me about doing this, I had to go down, sit down, and think about it. And as I was drafting up my paperwork here, I just wrote what originally came to mind. So I got it right here. So just want you to know that if I'm not looking up at the camera, it's because I'm sitting down here trying to make sure that I don't leave out anything. All right, so here we go. Who am I? My name is Terrenzo Davis. I grew up in a small town in Virginia, a place called Lynchburg. I'm the second oldest out of our 5 kids, which that includes 4 boys and 1 girl. I enlisted in the Army, following high school, basically because I was being indecisive on what I wanted to do with the remainder of my life. 17 at the time, I'm talking the remainder of my life, like I really had to figure it out right then and there. I never applied for any scholarships, so paying for college, that was not in the picture. Like I said, I graduated at 17, so who was gonna hire somebody fresh out of high school with 0 experience? So other than the restaurants, obviously I had a part-time job working at Long John Silver's. A lot of people compare that to Captain D's, if you don't know, but I'll say Long John Silver's was a whole lot better, being the fact that I was working there. Outside of high school, nobody else was trying to give me a job. I went and I talked to my Army recruiter. I never ever considered joining the Army. But looking back at it 28 years later, I think it was one of the best decisions that I could have made in my life. My hobbies are spending time with family, participating in any kind of sports. I like to cook, I like to garden, and I like to read when I get opportunity. Sometimes, sitting up here, we have to look in so many regulations. We have to look for this, look for that, and you really don't have that time that you want to dedicate to leisure reading. But I do like to get away and read a good book every now and again. My goal, once I'm done with this uniform, is to transition into the civilian sector and do something where I can continue to contribute to the success of others. Now, what that is going to be, I don't know, but I got a lot of things that I'm currently working on. What do I do? I'm just a Command Sergeant Major of the Columbus Recruiting Battalion, which my duties and responsibilities include being a senior enlisted advisor to everybody within our command. I like to train. I like to provide leader development to our recruiting force. I like to take care of soldiers and their families. I try to motivate the force to achieve our assigned mission. And I like to provide resources for them guys and girls to accomplish the task that we give them to do. Also try to enforce standards and discipline, and also shape a positive command climate. What Army value do I most identify with? You can ask a Sergeant Major that question, because all of them are important to me. All right, I think all of them carry the same weight, but I think during my tenure in the Army, I think selfless service sticks out to me, because 28 years ago, when I walked into the recruiting station, without hesitating, I knew at any moment I would devote my life to preserve others, and I still feel that same way today. It's all about others and not so much about myself. All right, what does it mean to be a leader? Through my own actions and words, I inspire others to achieve whatever task are presented. I create that desire for others to want to fill the void when I take my boots off. Not because of the position, but because of the competencies and attributes I present. Okay, lastly, and then I get up out this hot seat, is what does it mean to be a patriot? I think as a patriot, it is my duty to preserve all things we hold dear, whether that's the Constitution, the opportunity to live the American dream, or pay homage to those who have paved the way for us. And that's it.
I'm Major Crystalline Fillmore, serving in the United States Army for 17 years. I actually joined the spring of 2002 after September 11th, 2001 happened a few months prior to that. And although that isn't the reason that I chose to serve, I think it cemented my resolve to be in service to others because of what happened on that day, and continuing to remember those who came after to answer the resolve for our country and to bring us together. I, by trade, am an adjutant general officer, but I did begin as a chemical corps officer as a second lieutenant, serving with an aviation unit in Iraq. Then I did multiple jobs throughout then as an adjutant general officer. I think one of the Army values that I value the most, although they all have their own distinct purposes, is respect, because dignity and respect often gets overlooked. Dignity and respect has to be given. You can get what you want through leadership by instilling fear, or you can get it through those that you lead respecting you and doing it through their loyalty and respect of you. So if you give and receive respect, then I think you can be a fairly successful leader. And that leadership is something that the Army needs and the country needs to move forward and to be a powerful leader in the world and leader to others. So to be that inspiration to others, I value respect. And honoring our commitment to the ones that we serve is probably the most important thing to me on Day of Remembrance, so that we can properly respect and honor those that have gone before us.
Hi, my name is Sgt First Class Sammy Middleton. I was born in Charleston, South Carolina. My father served in the United States Army for 24 years as a Command Sergeant Major, and he displayed a lot of things that I really look at today and that made me choose loyalty as one of the Army values that I really looked upon. I believe being loyal, it brings a lot of confidence in your leaders and a lot of confidence into the individuals that you serve with. Being loyal also gives a sense of confidence to everyone, knowing that we are all here together to stick with each other, and also to achieve a common goal, and that's mission accomplishment. Leadership to me means it gives you a sense of urgency, knowing that there's a task that has to be accomplished, and with given guidance, you can actually accomplish the task. Some of the things that my leaders did in the past was they set the example. Whenever something needs to be done, they showed us how it's supposed to be done, and they allow us to make mistakes with handling tasks. And I guess with the mistakes that we made, it was more of a learning lesson. So they gave us an opportunity to not only grow within ourselves, but also grow within our organization. The biggest thing is being loyal to everything that you do within the United States Army. Being loyal to your family, being loyal to the Army, and also being loyal to your leaders. And also know that any task that you have, or any task that you have to achieve, you can always put your best foot forward, achieve the task, and also continue to push forward to achieve higher tasks that you're given. Being a patriot to me means that you're standing up for what's right within the United States. You're also standing up what's right for the moral values of not only yourself, but the individuals that's around you, your family, your friends, and the United States Army. Patriot Day to me means that we're looking back into history to all of the service members who served throughout the United States, and also looking at the sacrifices that they gave to our country, and knowing that today, in present time, that we're also serving for them as well as they served for us. And just looking and knowing that today that we stand stronger than we did before, and that we'll continue to rise together and become one.
Cool. Good afternoon or evening or morning, wherever you are. I am Captain Young, Darrell Young. I was born in Louisiana, raised all over the world because I am a military brat. I commissioned into the United States Army in 2010 out of Florida A&M University, out of the Army ROTC program there. I am currently the Columbus Recruiting Company commander and having fun. The Army value that sticks out the most to me is selfless service. One, it's a commitment that only 1% of America is willing to take or make. Two, it speaks to soldiers' character. It takes a special type of individual to be willing to give of oneself for a cause that's greater than themselves, right? And when we say selfless service in the military, it's not just about the soldier themselves, it's also about the family, because the family is making that sacrifice also. So it's an all-encompassing value, in my opinion. I think more than the soldier has to make that decision, that sacrifice. Leadership. Leadership is the pinnacle of the military. I think that organizations rise and fall solely based off of the leaders that are in that organization. And I truly believe that the Army puts leaders in positions that you could never replicate in a civilian sector. So I'm blessed with the opportunity to lead soldiers, and I think that it's an honor and a privilege to do that. For me, I think patriotism is basically doing what's right for the country. If that is volunteering to serve in the Army, or whether it's, serving the Army as a civilian, being an Army family member and supporting soldiers, supporting DA civilians, I think that patriotism also goes beyond the military. You could be a patriot at school, you could be a patriot in whatever occupation you are, whatever is done to help the country thrive and to help everyone succeed in whatever endeavor it is. Well, thank you for having me, Captain Young, Ninja 6, signing out.
My name is Jennifer Miner, and I am a captain in the United States Army. I graduated from the United States Military Academy in 2014. I grew up in Colorado Springs. My dad was in the Air Force. He retired as an E7 in the Air Force, and so military service has always been kind of a calling for the family. really kind of what inspired me to go to West Point. We live near the Air Force Academy, so the academies were always an option for us. I decided to take the leap into the Army, and I'm very satisfied with my position. I'm currently serving as the Human Resources Officer of the Columbus Recruiting Battalion. Prior to that, I served at Fort Hood, Texas. I started off as a platoon leader in a human resources company. Shortly after I arrived to Fort Hood, Texas, about a year and a half in, I deployed to predominantly Kuwait, but I had a platoon that was spread out all across all regions of the Central Command. It was a great experience. I'm glad it has happened, and I'm glad to be back. The Army value that means the most to me is probably personal courage. I think it takes a lot to decide for yourself to join a profession that very few Americans would choose to do. Personal courage holds yourself accountable. It forces you to choose the harder right over the easier wrong. All of us, we all don't hold the same beliefs, and it takes a lot of personal courage to continue to fight for everybody's freedoms, and that's just not only here, but that's across the world. So what does it mean to be a leader? It's a tough question. I think I view leadership as really just somebody that anybody can look out to and really help guide and help develop either personally or professionally in their careers and just their lives. What we call mentors. I've reached out to a lot of them, and I've made a lot of mentors that, you know, help develop me and help me see, you know, different perspectives of everything. And I think leadership is just that. And it's always great to see very young individuals who, you know, first join at 17 and 18 years old, and you get to see them develop and progress. And as for myself, you know, I came in also very young, and just to see my growth and development, I think that's what leadership is. It could be any small feat or even something large. Leadership is just at the cornerstone of everything. How I define patriotism and what I relate it to has to be what happened in the terrorist attacks in 9/11. I think at that time our country came together, and I think that was the perfect display of patriotism. We all have, you know, maybe different color skin, and, you know, we all come from different ethnic backgrounds, and patriotism to me means, you know, supporting and being proud of a country that supports that. What does it mean to be a patriot in the Army? Proud to be, you know, an American, right? We're all proud to be from this country. It rings true in the Army, believing that there is always a better tomorrow, and that we accept others, and we will fight for others' freedoms as we do for our own.
Well, folks, that wraps up our interviews. Hope you enjoyed the perspectives from each one of these different leaders on this Patriot Day. Comment below what Army value resonates the most with you. Take some time today to reflect on yourself and appreciate and love your families, your community, your friends. All right, guys, we'll see you out there.